Hello and welcome to Casting Roles, a persistent D&D campaign played by a bunch of theater nerds. Thank you for joining us. If you're liking the show, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And if you want to reach out to us on social media, you can find us on Twitter at Casting Roles and on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Casting Roles ILM. Our videos are uploaded on our YouTube channel every Friday. But with no other announcements, we'll go ahead and start the show. So, ticket takers, after several days now in Nuevea, helping to thwart an attack from the Draconid Legion of Ahriman the King, to establish the defense network and the flying capabilities of the city, helping to banish your mother off to the Feywild, and also your former trainer and teacher off to jail. You
like you do.
Like you do. You spent the day, yesterday, kind of dealing with the aftermath of the conversation with Wisteria, Saurus introducing and catching Abel off guard to representatives of the rogues. You went and collected a mysterious human-like construction that was made by Praetor Yakuzi called Ominira. And then you made your way back to the palace where you realize that the kind of the funeral of Tayo Asara was, or the wake portion was underway, but there were some unannounced guests present as you entered into the palace, and Lenaria Mistweaver and Thornton Braid and Rinley Bellinor were present, along with a woman the same height as Lenaria Mistweaver, wearing a long brown cloak with kind of raven feathers at the sleeves, talking to Orisha. So, ticket takers, as you enter into the palace here, you can kind of pause if you wanted to listen into their conversation a little bit, or let them be aware of your presence. It's up to you.
I look to Mar.
I look at Jerry, and then I walk up, I guess.
So like kind of as you walk up, Orisha kind of looks over Lenaria's shoulder and smiles, and Lenaria turns around and immediately like, Marlo, it's so good to see that you are all right. We heard after, and she kind of takes your hands, we heard after the battle that there was so much destruction. We were concerned about the ticket takers.
Yeah, no, we're okay. As okay as we can be.
Only throttled emotionally.
Really trying not to look at Abel.
Yes, she kind of looks out through kind of the main foyer entrance of the castle, the destruction that's there. When we heard the stories about what had occurred, but also the work that you had helped accomplish, we decided to make our way here. I don't know why I'm putting a little Orisha's voice into hers. This is my sister Persephone, and she kind of motions, and Persephone for the first time kind of turns and looks at you. Same face as Lenaria, hair braided down to the side, very Katniss Everdeen, that silvery white color braid that comes down in front, and underneath the brown cloak she's wearing these vibrant blue beautiful robes, but they're only like half robes. They're kind of like tucked in with like that slit part in the back, and she's wearing pants. This is very much more of a look of like ready to like jump into the fray versus Lenaria's more standard archmage look. She kind of turns, these must be the ticket takers. I've heard so much about all of you. It's a pleasure. I'm Persephone Mistweaver.
A pleasure.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hi.
And Lenaria is like, we decided that, considering that Nuevea is now the safest place in Alyria, that this might be a better home for Rinley to stay, but Orisha has concerns.
Which are,
Which are the countries?
if we may ask.
Arisha kind of, well, I am, of course, more than happy to allow the prince to stay and be safe here. Only somewhat concerned that if that information were to get out, the people of Alyria may see that as an hostage situation or an act of war, perhaps. Although she kind of looks beyond you at like the glimmering shield over the city. What could they do? You know.
I mean,
wonder.
have you considered making a formal alliance?
Renly kind of steps forward. Well, to be fair, I feel like I've already made a formal alliance. However, the news out of Nuevea is rather bleak. Kratos Hawk has abandoned the city and has marched most of the forces towards the Blighthold. So there is a possibility to return and claim our seat there without his presence.
Did we not hear that there was some major issues within the city?
Oh, he kind of looks at Persephone and Persephone says, yes, well, unfortunately, it seems like a mummy lord has decided to take seat within the hall. We're not exactly quite sure how it occurred, but something that must be displaced in order to properly make the city safe again.
You would think Kratos would have done that before he left.
It's very difficult knowing what's happening within the city. Our eyes and ears are far displaced and far removed from perks of power.
I look at Abel, and I look back and don't say anything.
Must be you are not in your city to know exactly what is happening.
Yes,
Jerry,
exactly.
What's a mommy lord?
Oh,
That is not what she said. Not what she said at all. A mummy lord. You know, like a guy in like bandages and shit.
What's that have to do with a mother?
It's not a mummy. No, listen, you two. It's not. We'll talk about the mummies. I'll draw you a picture.
So Jerry starts furiously drawing.
Even there? There shouldn't even be a mummy lord there.
No, absolutely not. The mummy lord should not be present there.
But if you're going back into the city, you know, defeating him would be a good show of power. Reclaiming the throne, mummy lord.
Perhaps after we return from Azalor, we could assist with defeating the mummy lord and placing Renly on the throne.
That may be a good plan of action. Our eyes and ears are mostly turned towards the Blight at this point. We're hearing a lot of news and information of nearly daily incursions from the Vale happening there. And with...
Have you heard about the ships sailing for the Blight?
Yes, there was news that the Tidewaters had been making their way there. And knowing their alliance with the king, I can only imagine that he is amassing forces at the Blight Hold as well. And with Kratos taking the brunt of the forces of the Righteous Legion, the Radiant Legion, there, we actually also came to request aid from Nuevea, in particular, and Lunaria turns to Arisha, in particular the Lioness, with magical defenses within the Blight if the Vale is planning a full-scale assault. And Arisha kind of steps back for a moment. I am not sure it is wise to request the aid of a woman who has a kingdom to look after. What reason should I have to go to the Blight? We are above it now. And then Arya just says, perhaps as a favor from an old friend. Arisha turns to Marlowe and the rest of the group and kind of ignores Lenaria's thing. We have been discussing something here. with the news of what is occurring, we can't imagine that the ground will be a very safe place in the coming months and weeks. We are willing to offer any of you, if there are members of your family or important people that you would like extracted from Alyria and brought here for safety, we would like to offer that to the ticket takers.
That is a prospect I think we'd all like to consider.
It's a very generous offer, regardless.
We can, we can, offer maybe 3 airships for travel to various locations within the next week or so.
Right, we'll try to get you the answer to that as soon as possible.
All right. Well, Nadia, we will reconnect once the wake has passed.
I do have one question that does not need to be answered now, but I would like to pose it. One of the groups, there's a group, the Shadows or whatever, that are trying to bring down the veil. What do we know about them? And as I said, this may not be the place for that. But
she kind of looks. We are not in mixed company, so I think it is safe to say that the Shadows' goal would be to bring down the Terras Anor. It would be required for each of them to fall for the veil to march on Alyria. Unfortunately, that seems to be why most of the interactions are occurring within the Blighthold. It has always been the most at risk of the 9 towers, at the seat there of the power of the veil. So it is definitely within our attention to provide protection for those, but they are very spread out and in not very easily accessible locations for defense.
Okay.
So going to the blacks may be the first step in uncovering the plot that the Shadows is trying to implement with taking down the towers.
Perhaps. And if we can stop them there, it would be much more difficult for them to wage a battle on any of the other towers.
Okay. That is good to know.
Josh, on your map, is this in the lower southwest corner?
So the Blighthold is the very southern, central tip of...
the part that's right behind my camera.
There you go.
Okay.
And the small circle on the map in the Blighthold is one of the Terras Anor.
Yeah.
Where are the photos?
Mm-hmm. Oh, the food is ready to be moved from the oven. All right. Yeah. So Arisha kind of nods to each of you and makes her way back towards the family at the wake. And Abel shouts that he wants to speak to his mother. So Abel would be staying behind to speak to Arisha. Is there anything else that the rest of you would like to do?
I'll ask Abel to tell Amanira to come with us.
Amanira kind of standing in the background, and you mentioned it for the first time, and she was kind of standing behind the ticket takers and is hidden by everybody. And this is the first time that Lenaria, Persephone, and the others are really getting a look, and they... What is this? Mono...
Well, she's disguised too.
Oh, she is. Yeah, I don't remember what she's... Oh yeah, she's looking
she
like
a lady.
Yeah, she looks like a lady. So never mind. So they just kind of were who is the new? Is this a new member of the tickers that's joining you here?
This is a member in training. Time to roll deception.
Yeah.
Time to roll deception.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's technically not true.
That's, you know what? There's a thread of truth there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. potential member in training we Abel specifically picked up.
Yeah. Well,
Yep, I'm throwing out on Abel.
Good to see you expanding your ranks. I don't want to take up your time if you're busy doing anything else. We are going to continue negotiating whether or not Rinley stays or we take him somewhere else. The Cloud Cities are not exactly the safest of places right now.
Why are the Cloud Cities unsafe?
Well, with the Profane Citadel, there is a network of teleportation that connects all of them, and it's been quite difficult maintaining the wards on Strata, on Persephone's city, especially when the leader of the Cloud Giants within Strata, Kefkin, may or may not be aligned with Ahriman.
Could you change the teleportation circle?
We are attempting to make those changes, but these were circles that were created by the gods themselves and difficult to disrupt. We've been able to halt transportation, but to permanently disable them has been somewhat difficult.
It's maybe something we could use to our advantage at another point. If they can teleport from the Profane Citadel to another Cloud City, why could we not teleport something to them?
That is definitely possible.
I do
Maybe something
know
like
that spell now, so
disrupt the Profane Citadel itself? Or cause chaos?
So we're gonna send us then.
probably.
This is a plan that we could work on.
So Abel kind of steps off to the side to speak to Orisha. The rest of you, if there's any, these three individuals are here if there's any conversation you'd like to have with them, or you can do whatever you'd like to do.
I thought I wrote down the name of the person that I wrote it down somewhere, but I don't know where I put the paper. So I'm just going to, in my conversations with my mother, inform her of a impromptu meeting that was thrust upon me.
Oh, yes. I misspoke last time. It wasn't Magda. Magda's a different character from another time and place within the game.
What is her name?
What was her name?
I loved her. I loved her so much.
It's like a leader of the rogues, right?
Magda's a alias.
Yeah, but that's also a character that you have interacted with before, and I just do not remember where or when you interacted with them.
There are more than one person with the same name.
That's very true.
Her name was Malada.
Okay, well, I did write it down. Write it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had an impromptu meeting with a leader of a faction of the rogues here in Nuevea named Malada, who wanted to strike up somewhat of a bargain concerning the comings and goings of materials to and from the island, how Praetor Yukuzi was able to utilize our shipping personnel to remove certain precious materials from the island without being detected.
Is this somebody that we could trust?
I would not say trust. Their approach is that the happenings of the black market will continue. They believe that leadership of the island would prefer to have a better understanding of the operations of the black market and would want more involvement to keep things, I guess, from getting out of hand. It may be a situation where it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Well, I will send Chidara to have a conversation with Malada on behalf of the council. And
They did provide. I wanted to detect magic on that sending stone that they gave.
Okay.
Or identify, just to make sure there's anything like extra.
you take a moment or you just cast the spell either way. And it is just a sending stone. There's nothing nefarious about it.
Okay. They did provide this to get in contact with them. And her name was Malada.
Malada, yeah. All right. She takes it and she motions, and Chidera, one of the commanders of the Ibura, walks up and she hands it off to her.
One
as
more
our
thing.
liaison. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I did want to inform you. Is anyone else around just like me? And
No, she kind of, everyone else is either at the wake or they're over by Lenaria and Persephone.
Right. So I'm going to direct my mom to kind of start walking the opposite direction and have Aminira join us.
Okay. Aminira immediately peels away from the other group and walks over. And you'll notice the Aminira walk, and it's very much like if somebody was paying a lot of attention, doesn't walk very much like a human, but it kind of walks up and immediately kind of just stands there.
I'm sure that you noticed that we have a new member of the Ticket Takers. This is Aminira, and their origins are quite interesting. Aminira is actually a living construct.
Your mother says, "What do you mean by that?" And Aminira says, "You are very sweet."
Aminira was created by Yakuzi, implanted with her own soul, and is a sentient, living construct.
Your mother kind of casts for a moment and releases it in Aminira's direction. Huh. I always wondered what Yakuzi was up to in that laboratory of his.
Apparently this is it. I've spent some time trying to discern exactly what their mission is as far as the pre-programming, but it seems as though the initial programming was wiped and they are simply tasked with living a life. Apparently with me set as the individual to guide them.
Arisha kind of sips. What was the original designation for such a creation?
Aminira, if you would be so kind.
My original designation was one of the Peace Forged to carry the might and power of Nuevea into the protection of the entire world. Arisha says, well, that's not potentially dangerous at all.
It depends on how you would interpret that, but I guess I don't know if it would be appropriate for Aminira to come with us. I mean, she learns very quickly, but I don't know if adventuring in the middle of a war is the appropriate place for such a tabla rosa, such a blank tablet to learn the ways of the world.
Well, I would prefer a creation such as this to not be here. For safety, of course.
I can keep her with me and the other ticket takers if you think it is best. I know that there's a lot happening here with planning defenses, refuge for a king, having to take care of father. If it is best, then she can stay with me and the ticket takers.
there are many things to talk about and discuss in the coming days.
I'm sure we'll find the time to do it. I just wanted to let you know what was happening. I may have to contact you for advice, so...
Well, you know I am always here to help.
Thank you, Mother.
And she kind
I'll
of
give her a hug, and we'll
hugs. All right.
continue our day.
All right. So, anything else from the ticket takers from this or moving into another space?
Can you remind me what Persephone's book was on again? Like what her area of expertise was?
Wasn't her book on the Free City? No.
Yeah, she had a book on the Cloud Cities, and she also wrote about
the primals,
yeah,
I
the
think.
primals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's fine. I'm good.
I'll ask Renly if he's seen his sister and his and how to. Rob is being slow, but basically, Glam Up, Bolton, and Azula.
Ansel.
And so I always want to call her Azula. And
She's
I know
not
she's
crazy or evil.
No, but she is a badass.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah,
But basically,
I did get her a katana.
You did, yeah.
I did.
Basically, it's the have you had a chance to visit see your sister?
Yeah.
They're here and doing well, basically.
Renly kind of says, no, we only just arrived a short while ago. We were somewhat reluctant to ask for free travel within the castle or the palace. But I definitely would love to see my sister sooner rather than later.
We can take you to her and set up a reunion. I'm sure she'll be really happy to see you.
He kind of looks to Thornton, and Thornton says, well, you're the king. You don't have to tell me. Ask for permission for me. And Renly says, okay, I'd love to go with you all.
Is Alyria in like message range, or would I have to send to her if I wanted to?
Probably from here, probably a little bit out of range, considered like we're at the front entrance of the palace, and the guest quarters are probably more than 300 feet away.
If we're walking up, just let me know, because I just want to let her know that this is happening.
Right? Do you all head in the direction of the guest quarters, or you don't all have to travel together either? So yeah. All right. So Abel and the rest of the crew guiding Renly, you get to the point, Jury, where you'll be within message range of Alyria's quarters.
Range, I'll message Alyria and I'm like, your brother's here. We're taking him to the room. If you don't want to see him, I can make a distraction. Let me know. What's up?
The message comes back. Your room. I'll meet you there.
Okay. Sweet. All right.
I just wonder if it's a good idea to have all of the leaders of the last two free nations in one place.
Abel, you just suggested this. Oh, you mean in general, like in this country? I mean, you're right.
But if the Cloud Cities are not safe, maybe the only option.
What do you think, Renly, as a future leader? What's your instinct?
Well.
Oh.
17.
The
17-year-old.
thinking about these things.
This kingdom is quite amazing, and considering from what I've understand of the work that has been completed here, nearly impregnable. Lunaria seems to think that it is the safest place in the world now. And she seems to be rather right about those things most of the time.
Well,
I am very young, Juridan, but the one thing I do know about leadership is that you listen to those around you who know more than you do, and lean on the wisdom of others.
But
Really, there is no place safe in this world right now.
True.
But you should also question things and make your own decisions as well.
Is Lunaria somebody that I should question?
No, but if you'll remember, people close to you, a lot happened. There's just. I'm not saying Lunaria necessarily, but there are other people who you should just be careful of.
I messaged Jerry. I'm in place. I think maybe.
Yeah,
on
I'm
this
just I'm trying not to go full anarchist. It's really hard.
He's
gotta drive home that message.
An anarchist.
I say something to the effect of, I'm fairly new to the world. But what I have learned is to listen to everyone, to trust a few that have earned it.
And Lunaria is definitely in those ranks.
I think she threw aside everything that she had as one of the leaders of the Violet Conclave, as a member of the Curia Regis, in order to protect me and to side with you all. I think that makes her quite trustworthy.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Lunaria. Lunaria is awesome. Okay, well, this is not what I
But
was
still
saying.
question. I mean, she may think she's right and not be.
Isn't that true for everyone?
That's my point.
What about true for me?
Well, you're the king.
And you're like 17. So,
Which, from what you say, Soris,
as a king, though.
Exactly. It is quite dangerous for a king to believe that just because he thinks something that it must be true.
God, you're so mature.
That's why I was saying,
What the hell?
that's why I was saying question everything. Make the best decisions you can with the facts you have.
Wow.
And sometimes you're going to be very, very wrong. You may ask me how I know this.
How do you know
Message
this,
for us.
Soris?
I'm in place on this one. Why are we? I don't know. Let's not freak out this 17-year-old like any more than he probably already is about being hunted.
I messaged Marlo. This from the person who told Vicus what he really is while floating outside his window.
I didn't tell you. No, I didn't tell you the context of how I told Vicus.
Okay.
I just said I told Vicus.
But you did,
Now.
yeah.
Yep.
So you guys make your way to the room.
Sure. Yeah.
And kind of enter in, and he's looking around at and then a moment later there's a knock at the door, and Laura, kind of without waiting for you to let her in,
Yes.
kind of opens. Is everyone decent?
Come right inside, please.
Oh, good.
Much as we
Sorry,
can be.
levity in the situation. And then she immediately kind of sees her brother, and the last time that she saw him was the announcement that she was not really his full sister. And you can Marlo immediately picks up on knowing Alyria as well as you do, and Abel as well. The reservation in this moment of there's happiness of seeing her brother, but there's also maybe a tinge of shame.
Oh.
Brinley, it's so good to know that you're safe. And he immediately rushes forward and gives her a hug. I feel like we have a lot to talk about. Would you like to take a walk in the... And he kind of gestures towards the park that's outside the guest quarters. And she says, yes, I think that I would. I hate to be rude to the rest of you. Do you mind if we trot
Don't
off?
mind at
You
all.
don't need the time alone. Please go.
And she kind of guides him towards the park quarters and out into the sunlight. And just for a moment, the ticket takers can see them reconnecting in a way. But that outer shell of distance does not fade as they disappear off into the park.
Oh.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
It's what they say. Come on.
William Shakesotter said that one.
They're doing that at the
At the Kaimata Theater in Alyria, yeah. The inaugural performance.
That's the show that's playing now.
The inaugural
It's true.
performance, yeah. All right, but you are all now back in your quarters.
They're doing the mummy return.
Yeah, you're all getting fairly comfortable in the space, and Ominira is just kind of standing there,
I'm gonna get into bed and just lay in bed.
Ominira watches you go. Is Juridan feeling all right? It is. That's not what it is. Is Juridan feeling all right? It is still daylight outside. Or is it normal for half-orcs to sleep so early in the day?
It's normal for Jury.
I think it has just been a pretty draining day. Julie just needs to take a moment to recharge.
Like pulls the cover over.
Ugh.
Can I roll to play Jury a lullaby?
Sure, make a performance check.
17.
All right, so you kind of take out your ukulele and you begin to play, and it's this soft, like, basically like that slow picked hula sound of like a quiet night on the Vanishing Isles.
What's the light sources in this room?
There are magical light sources in the room, but there's also sunlight coming through. It's only like
Okay.
5. I think it's like 4:30 in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Mhm.
So no like torches or oil lamps or anything.
Nope, everything here is magical light. Mhm.
Okay.
That are, as you've noticed, are timed. They come on when you enter the space, but then they dim as the day goes past. And when you leave a space, they kind of go out so that they're not sitting on all the time. Because we're conserving energy, I guess, in this magical world. Hey, folks. Hey, folks out there, turn out your lights when you leave the room. Save energy.
Petroleum products are a finite resource.
It's like Zephyrite products.
All right.
Otherwise, okay. Do we have any? I guess I'll just try to run through some basics with Amanir while we're sitting here hanging out.
Okay. What do
I'm
you?
gonna start
Oh, go ahead.
reading my book.
Oh, yes, you can go. And I think you already started a little bit of that. So
I think I got like 2 hours in.
you have 2 hours in. So if you wanted to, Marlo, read the rest of this evening, you could probably get a full 8 hours in today and still get a full sleep night tonight without like, going into exhaustion mode if you wanted to.
I'll put a couple hours in and see what's up.
Okay, cool. So you're putting in a couple hours while Abel's working with Ominira.
If we go drinking, I'm not gonna miss that opportunity.
You know what I want to? I think I
Jordan
want to
sleeping.
do?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want
I'm
to
not
try
sleeping.
to.
I'm just literally
Oh,
laying
just
in bed.
laying in bed.
Yeah,
Okay.
just laying there.
I want to try to activate my puzzle box, and I probably would have sent Anansi to go get Jiren because he's an artificer too. And just go through some like basics of artificing with Amanira and see what they're good at, what they already know.
Okay. So you send Anansi to go get a Jaren. That'll take a little while. You don't know what Jaren's doing. And then you start kind of go ahead and make an Arcana check with advantage as you're working with Ominira. Soros and Kaimana, anything that you're trying to accomplish today in this time period?
I am going to spend my time once I give Jury about an hour's worth of serenading. I am going to go study the Death Rock.
You're just going to study the stare at the Death Rock, study it? Okay.
Yeah.
So for that, I will need a nature check for you. Soros.
I'm going to spend a couple of hours reading my book as well.
Okay, cool. So you and Marlo, there's like a bay window and there's lots of cushy pillows and things and big enough for 2 people to sit in like back to back reading if you wanted to like studying together. It's very much like 2 hours of lo-fi music to level up your character to on D&D. And just like taking notes and reading reading not the same book because one of you is reading a book about wisdom and the other one's reading your book about dexterity. Yep. Right. So, Kaimana, what was your nature check?
It's a 5.
A 5. So you spend a little bit of time kind of like studying the rock, and you are keenly aware of the magical nature of the rock, but you haven't necessarily like unlocked its potential. And so the first thing you try is to connect with it. You've heard many people mention that like this is a rock that seems like perfect for a druid, or that there's such a druidicness to it, that the first thing you try to apply to it is your natural druidness, your connection to the natural world. And as much as this is a stone that exudes the energy of death and that passage of time between life and death, it is not a stone of nature. And trying to delve into it is a little difficult. In the next hour, while everyone else is kind of reading, you can try something else. What would Kaimana throw at this if nature didn't first succeed?
Probably survival.
Okay, interesting. Go ahead and make a survival check.
Just because, I mean, you either survive or you don't.
Yeah.
Oh, that's better. That's a 28.
28. So you're trying to connect.
20 and a 28.
You're trying to connect with it on a natural element, and you realize like that's only like half of the equation. But this is still a stone of the god of death, and so this is no longer about a natural world that exists, but one that has perished and passed along. And as you start to kind of connect with it on a deeper level, suddenly like you flash for a moment and you're walking through an old graveyard. New tombstones around, beautifully carved out of marble and granite. And you realize like as you walk, there are graves that are opening beneath you, and they're empty. There are not caskets here. There are no bodies in these graves. These are freshly positioned graves that are welcoming of individuals that will one day rest here. And as you walk, every step you take, there is a blossoming and then a decay of the plant life around you. And you're just leaving behind the birth and death of everything as you pass. But there's a peace in the air. A soft, like vellum cotton surrounding you. The sounds dull. The tweetering of birds in the air and the rustling of trees just slightly muffled and distant. The wind lightly blowing across you. And then you realize that you're walking alongside a towering beast of energy and power. A blackened creature that is alight at the edges, almost like the silver lining on darkened clouds. And you know that this is Caiaphas. And he is walking in the graveyard of all that will come to rest. With a 28, you walk for a while and notice that Caiaphas's energy begins to become disintegrated, jarred, almost like the waveform of a once like calm wave that is upset by a torrential downpour or rain, and he begins to become less of that silver lining and more jagged edges and surfaces, and the graves suddenly explode and expand, and there are a multitude of them. And you realize that these are all of the dead of the subversion that he wrought. But underneath all of it, you feel at the core, he just wanted love. And then you wake up, the stone clasped in your hand. And you realize that there's something that you drew from this, is that this is the stone of a being that loved so intently and wanted life to have meaning. And people hated them for what they brought. That the end of life was such a feared thing that it drove this god mad.
Yeah, come on, I was gonna just be alone with that.
Oh, Josh, I got goosebumps.
I'm sorry, kind of. Yeah.
Did you write that?
No, I know that story. I know why Caiaphas went crazy. Yeah.
I was gonna say because like you just delivered that. Just
Well, thank you. All right. Marlo and Saurus
play
make
back for like 5-10 minutes every night.
Yeah.
There you go. Marlo and Saurus, make an intelligence check, Marlo, and a wisdom check, Saurus, for me, just to see if we're accelerating your reading or if it's normal.
What did you get, Jace?
Well, I rolled an 18, so I got
Ooh.
a 21.
21. So you only get 2 hours of reading in today, but you can mark 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Saurus.
5.
I rolled a 17, so I have a 20.
Okay, you got 2 hours of reading today, but you can go ahead and mark 3. Because you were both like almost like study buddies and reading together, you were able to kind of like bounce off of each other and you gained more knowledge from it than if you had just been reading alone. All right, so Abel, after you kind of are working with Omanara for a moment, Jaren comes in and he kind of is looking around and he's hearing like the sound of ukulele drifting from Jury's bedchambers. Marlo and Saurus like curled up, like reading to each other and being like, oh my gosh, look at this cool thing in this book. Look at this diagram of this person punching them. And Saurus is like, oh, look, this person's just meditating. And he's like, well, it's interesting to see what the ticket takers do on their downtime. This little one saw that it was quite urgent that I arrive. And you just see like Anansi like crawls up over his shoulder and is just kind of like waving his little like things like I did what you asked me to. Like he's here. I feel like Anansi is trying to show off because you have a new friend.
Oh no, you're jealous.
And Anansi might be a little jealous of Ominira. So
my hand out so he can fly over.
He flies over immediately and kind of
Very
like
much. Anansi did a great job.
You pet him and like the amethyst orb that makes up his body kind of shimmers and glows. And then he kind of nuzzles down into your
Very
palm.
proud of you.
Okay.
Jillian, I wanted to see if I can get your help. Omanira is a new friend, and I wanted to test how much she actually knows about the world of artificing and magic in general.
I can answer your question, Abel. I know nothing about any of those things other than if you tell me to search a particular thing, I can access Prete Yokuzi's files. But as far as do I have knowledge of artificing, I do not.
Okay.
And Jaren says, I'm sorry, did she say access the files of Prete Yokuzi? Who is this person, Abel?
Omanira is a new member of the Ticket Takers, and I'll explain the concept of this living construct that's been
It's
imbued
probably
with
still looking very human.
That we definitely voted on.
Yeah, everyone keeps saying new member of the Ticket Takers.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's quite impressive. Well, why don't you just run her through some paces then? What did you get on your Arcana check?
Oh, I rolled a natural 18 plus 10, it's like a 28.
Okay. So with the idea that you are trying to assess Ominira's knowledge and intelligence, roll 46 for me, please.
Okay.
Oh, neat.
I wanted, since I'm like testing their knowledge of like magic in general, I'll invite Judy, I know you've had a long day, but to be honest, there are schools of magic that you are very well versed in that I am not as much. If you have some time.
Jerry gets up and he's like, I'm going out.
Okay.
Jury goes out.
I climb up onto the windowsill and I cast fly and I go.
Whoa. Jury doesn't even go to the front door, just flies away.
He literally flies away from you.
This is such a Monty Python
you're
moment.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Jerry just looks at you and like crosses in front of I imagine like Mar and Saurus is like, excuse me, and like gets up and then whoop.
Okay, well, we'll leave that for another day.
All right.
And I assume Kaimana is doing his Death Stone
Yes.
inquiry. Okay, well, I will do this by myself.
Like literally as soon as Kaimana stopped playing, Jerry was like, all right, I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Bye. All right.
You said 4d6?
4d6. And then tell me what, and then drop the lowest number and tell me what you have.
Okay.
You're rolling your stats.
12. I rolled a 14 and 2.
2 is the lowest, so 12. Cool.
12 is good.
All right. So you managed to roll Aminira's first stat.
Oh, this is...
12.
So cool.
Oh, Jesus. You're keeping track of this, right? I'm like...
Yep. I'm going to give you a character sheet at some point, but once you've played around enough to have rolled all 6, then we'll do that.
Oof, Lord Jesus. Okay, so with those basics, is there... I'm curious Aminir's connection to the puzzle box as well. So while we're doing this, is there a way for us to utilize the puzzle boxes like ethereal little realm to do this practicing, or
Omanira, you kind of are looking at the puzzle box, and Omanira says, I am unable to access the ethereal space of the puzzle box since I am no longer in Yokuzi's laboratory.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, we shall do our lessons in the real world then. We'll just take a space in the room and kind of go through some basics of magic.
All right. So
very reminiscent of how Yakuzi and I started out, way back when my mom decided she's sick of me taking stuff apart and I need a real teacher.
All right. So you and Jaren spend another hour or so with Ominira. All right. So as the evening begins to wind into night, what would the ticket takers like to do this evening?
I would like to go meet with the rats.
Okay. So assuming you ask Kaimana, kind of reach out for them, and they respond that they're setting up their bedding on the ship, and they are there if you want to go check in on them.
And so I shall.
All right. Going by yourself?
If anybody wants to come with me, I'll let them know where I'm going.
Can I tag along with Aminira, I think?
I'll go since apparently I'm the father figure.
She just in the Saurus goes, "Where's our dad?"
There's your new stepdad.
He
He's
doesn't
an
love
honor.
anymore, folks. All right, cool. So Saurus come on Abel.
It's crazy to me that the paternal figure is like the smallest out of all of them.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So
although it does give me kind of Master Splinter and the Ninja Turtles vibes.
There you go.
All right. So Saurus come on Abel, making their way to the airship docking space. It takes you a little bit of a while to get there. Jordan, where did you fly away to?
I went to someplace that looks scenic and nice.
Okay. So you kind of fly up out of the palace grounds, and from the air, it's very easy to see the swaths of destruction from the battle. You walked through neighborhoods where you had seen buildings or things, but it's almost like paths of tornadoes tearing through where the dragon's breath tore through here. And there would be a jagged space where every building was damaged or destroyed in some way. And then a street over almost untouched. And you're kind of flying around looking for something that is peaceful in this rebuilding space. And you see the beaming lights shooting out of the top of the Temple of the Nine, or the Temple of the Eight here. And you see that around it is a peaceful park that seems mostly untouched.
Sure, I'll drop down in the park.
So you kind of fly down into the park, and here, surrounded by the interesting Nuevean trees that have that rainbow bark and the shimmering kind of silverish green and some places purple leaves, just kind of rustling around you. You find yourself in a very peaceful park space with quiet in all directions.
I say a little prayer to Alyssor. Please help me make good decisions. And then I'll cast Sending to my dad first. I gotta use upper level spell slots, so I gotta burn some of these. So I'm gonna cast a Sending to my dad, and I'm like, hey, it's Jury. You may be able to stay in Nuevea and be safe if that's something you'd be interested in. I can ask. On the table.
Okay. So the message kind of goes through and there's a momentary pause. And then a message comes back. Well, I think that it would be not worthy to run and hide when there may be a fight coming. I'm getting the Airship Legion ready in the event that we need to protect the people.
I'm like genuinely touched by this. You know what? Fuck it. I'll cast Sending again to him. That's really comforting to hear. I talked to Mom and things weren't great, so I appreciate you, I guess.
Message comes back. A pause longer.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a long pause.
And it comes back. I don't quite know what to say about all of that. But you told me I had to do better. So I'm trying.
Yep, I leave it at that with him. And then I'm going to do one more sending. I'm going to send to Nairoy.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, a lot happened. I sent you a letter. If you want to stay in Nuevea, I guess you could if that's something you want. And then he just stumbles around with his words until it cuts off. I feel like he gets to the word I miss and then it cuts off.
Yeah. All right. There's a kind of a longer pause. Almost like as if maybe the spell didn't go through or something. And then it comes back. Sorry. Somewhat distracted right now. Why would I come to Nuevea? Aside from to see you, but what's the reason? We had to leave Veltland, finding safety elsewhere.
Shit. Well, that's disturbing. Oh my god, I really gotta burn some upper level spell slots. Fuck. I send again, using an even higher level spell slot. Shit.
Yes, I'm burning all of Jared's spell slots.
You really are. I'm like, are you okay? If you're not safe, I can bring you and your family here. They owe me a favor.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you finish, the message comes back. The Star Speakers arrived in Veltland.
Oh God!
You told me that they were dangerous and to avoid them, so took family further into country. If they would like to come get us, any place of safety would be good.
Alright, I'll cast my last 5th level spell slot, and just have a 6th level left. And I go, it's good you got away from them. They're very dangerous. Tell me where to send, and I'll send the ship to pick you up and your family.
Okay. The moment comes by, he says, in the green, about a quarter mile in, a clearing of wildflowers. It's difficult to miss. Not far from the old fort.
Okay. I get this back. I've wasted so many spell slots. And then I one more prayer. Elisor, please make Azalor not the worst place I've ever been to. And then I'll start flying back.
Okay. All right, Marlo. As you finished up your reading for the afternoon, what were you up to? As Abel's source came on, I'll head off to go check in with the rats.
Mar, I guess, when is Ray coming back into the room?
I will be coming back into the room. I'm just gonna drop on but
Bye.
I'm probably there for a while.
Okay, so Mar is gonna keep reading the book until everyone's gone.
Okay.
And then is going to close the book and start writing something, and they're probably still working on it at a very slow, awkward pace by the time Jerry comes back.
Okay, so then Jerry, you walk into Marlo writing. Mm-hmm.
I very coolly step onto the thing. It's very cool.
Make a acrobatics check.
Sure.
Because you said it.
I rolled Josh Bailey. I rolled a nat fucking 20. I'm leaving.
Every time Jerry tries to be cool, I'm gonna be cool in this
General
moment.
deception to be impressed.
Yes.
I go to put my foot down and do this great landing, and my foot completely slips out from under me, and I hit the back of my head on the railing.
But you're still flying, so you just kind of hit.
To show impressed by this.
Oh no!
You rolled a 5?
Yeah.
It is clear.
Nice.
I just laugh.
All right.
Hey. I just had to go make some calls.
Yeah.
I think so. Apparently, my dad is gonna fight back if things get bad. It's an unexpected.
Wow.
Flip around.
That's really noble of him.
Yeah.
That's irony, huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
And then Nairi, I asked if he wanted to come here, and they said the Star Speakers were moving into the Veltland, further in.
You see Mars' face maybe twitch at that.
Is Mar trying to hide it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and make a deception check, and Jury,
Come on, Jury. Come on.
Oh, well, I rolled a 3, bud, so
okay, so you see there's a twitch to Marlo when you mention that.
Is that a problem for you?
Why would it be a problem for me?
Because your face did the thing where you're like,
whoa, they're way down there now?
ow, I hit my head so hard. Your face did like a thing.
Sometimes my face does things.
Your face does not do anything without warning. You're always carefully composed.
No, it's just stuff to think about. It's just a lot going on right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, at least Amalia's already here, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, don't have to worry about Amalia.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I have parents, right? It's not just Amalia.
You would have parents. I had not considered this.
No, Amalia's
you
dwarf,
have
and I'm a half elf. There wasn't. Yeah, no, that didn't come from that.
No,
one.
I get it. I totally get it. Are you gonna bring them here?
So I haven't spoken to my parents in over a decade.
Oh god, I got deja vu. Shit. Fuck. I'm on being my parents don't know I'm alive, and I'm like,
yeah,
in a decade?
Well, I got bitten as a kid.
Ooh, we lost Rob.
Oh no.
Should I hold for?
We got a man down.
hold
We
for the
can
man?
hold for a moment till we can hold for the man to come back.
Jeez.
Rodman.
Finally, we're getting more backstory. Oh.
I feel like
Hold on,
Jury
let
just
me-
More
going into their
backstory.
I've
backstory.
offhandedly mentioned this before to the Takers, but I deadass think Jury was like not here,
Yeah, I
or
think
like,
so.
or like I've mentioned it in front of NPCs. or
You-
something.
Yeah, I think Daisy might have heard this story.
Yeah, and very specifically, Jury does not know that your family's in the Veltland. Otherwise, he would have been so much kinder about how he brought that up.
Yeah, no,
But he
I
does not know that
noticed.
shit.
Yeah,
All right, let me just rearranging windows.
Hi, Rob. Can you speak?
Or not.
Can you hear us?
is Rob Man in the room with us?
We have a
Yeah.
Ouija board, but it's just to communicate with Robman.
Yeah.
He's muted.
Rob.
I think he's
Rob,
For the love of
speak to
God.
us.
Rob, do
Rob,
something.
man.
Rob,
Rob, man, are you okay?
Rob, man, please.
I don't know if he. That was.
Oh no!
I knew what that was.
I
Yeah,
That
heard
was.
that loud and clear.
Yeah.
I figured it was.
Note taken.
He's gonna mess.
What did we say in the last bit? I think I said, "Are you bringing your family here?" And you're like, "You have family," and I'm like, "Are you? You haven't talked to him in a decade? Or are you like?"
I so when I got bitten, I was a kid, like younger than Renly, and you know, you know, kids don't handle the bite well, and my first full moon, my parents had to lock themselves in a room, and I couldn't stay there anymore. So, my father was a bard, actually, so he used to travel around, and he knew a lot of adventurers, and he reached out and he found Amalia, and that's. I didn't know how to talk to them after that.
Well, you know, you don't have to reconnect, but if that's something you want, you should do it.
So I mean, you just said that the Star Speakers are in the Veltland, and they're in the Veltland, and I've been thinking about it a lot.
I'm sorry.
No,
Oh, Jesus God. Alyssor, what the fuck? I just prayed to you.
Alyssor is dead.
To a dead god.
Thank Well,
I
mean,
want them to be safe, and I've been putting it off, and they're not fucking safe. There's so many reasons they're not safe,
then,
and I always thought that reaching out to them would make them not safe anymore. But now I think it's just not saying anything is worse.
trust me, if anyone understands this situation, it's me.
Yeah.
But maybe you should bring them here. They could go to where Nairoy is, and they could pick them up all at once.
Yeah, it's just kind of not. I don't know. I mean, I always wanted to go see them one day. I just was waiting for a different moment. I thought I would know, like, know exactly when it was right to go see them. I had like a whole like plan, and now it's just it's not gonna be like that.
Mart, I thought when I met my mom that everything would click into place and it would all be right and everything would be like back then. But that's not how it works out. Everything is different, and that's good, and it's bad.
Yeah.
But you're not alone for it.
I know.
And
I know.
anything you choose to do is fine, okay? You don't have to bring them here. We can go kick a bunch of cultists' ass after Azalor. Whatever you need.
I want them here. I really do.
They would be incredibly lucky to know you.
I don't know why you'd say that. I don't know why you'd say that like that.
I got your back for calling me your brother, you bitch! And I'm like tearing up also. Yeah, we're family.
Yeah. You would really like my dad. You guys would get along too well.
Oh my god, we're gonna make jokes together.
Yeah. Yeah, you both have the same horrible little sense of humor.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
It'll be
Dad
cool.
jokes.
Can we go get drunk right now? Can we go get fucking wasted, please?
Yeah. Yeah, and while we're in this like weird thing, I made a deal with my mom, and
Okay.
it was after everything that I have to go to the Fey realm with her. After.
Like forever?
You know, I think the wording is purposely vague, but I think I can wiggle out of forever. But Fey time, from what I know, isn't exactly the same.
Yeah.
But not forever. No, I couldn't leave you guys.
Okay, cool. Because we just got you.
You can't get rid of me that easy. Besides, we can pick apart this wording and really get lawyerly about it.
We can
Let's do
totally-
that while we get drunk.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go find booze.
All right. So you find where are you going to look for booze?
Let's not go to that one bar that Sora's took us to.
Yeah, that left that place with a weird vibe, huh?
It's so weird. We picked like the first bar, the closest bar.
All right. So you
Wait,
walk.
is there alcohol in the castle?
Of course, there's alcohol in the castle. It's
Okay,
a palace.
let's track down some alcohol.
All right. So you
Can
find.
we go find our friends?
Oh hell yeah, we're gonna find our drinking buddies.
Okay. So you go and you
Did we
locate.
both just immediately know who we were referring to when we said that? We both just knew.
It was kind of like this fuck boy, fuck person sentiment where we're both like, yeah, we know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
We
We
know.
won't make fun
All
of each other this time.
So you track down a
LMWLW solidarity.
a servant in the palace and just place an order for more booze than adults should be allowed to drink. And then you tell them to deliver it to a specific place. You make your way to that place, knock on the door, and Zell and Bolton open the door. What the fuck are you lot doing?
We're about to get drunk.
Wow. Come on in then. And Zell like beckons you in. And Bolton is kind of like lounged there. It's like,
Always has to be posing, this motherfucker.
I'm injured. He's injured. He's like laying on the couch or whatever. Well, I thought, 24 hours without Juridan would have been just, we thought you might have died or something. So
Insight check.
go ahead.
How flirty is this sentiment?
How flirty is that? 21. I don't know. This may not get him. He's a spy.
Yeah, with a +7 to deception. What you get from that is just like playful, like fun.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, I guess I'll have to bother you extra. And I
Well,
sit down next to him.
As long as you're providing drink, I suppose that's perfectly all right.
Yeah, we ordered as much as they let us.
And a moment passes, and then there's a knock on the door, and the servant kind of Enzel opens the door again, and the servant walks in with literally a wooden crate filled with wine bottles, and sets it there, and just anything else that I could offer you for the evening?
I give her, I don't know, like 5 gold, and I'm like, you didn't bring these here.
my lips are sealed, I suppose. And she walks out. And
What do you think is going to happen? That we're going to get into trouble?
No, that was just a weird instinct. I think I just did that on autopilot.
all right.
Cool, yeah. Old habits die hard, I guess.
All right. So you all start diving into the beer, and then meanwhile, or the wine, Soris and Kaimana, as you guys are walking, Abel and Jaren kind of peel away with Ominira and saying that they want to go work on something. And so Soris and Kaimana, you make your way to the airship docking space, and you climb up the aerodrome to the ship, and you see the rats are there, kind of. A couple of them are swabbing the deck and cleaning it. Alembic is checking the readings on the gauges at the back of the ship and just making sure that it's flight worthy in the event that you all need to make a quick exit or to fly away. And they see you coming, and Beaker kind of standing up on the deck of the ship. Soris, Kaimana. Oh, it's so good to see. We were so worried, and we're just so happy to see that you're okay and you're not hurt. Please, this is your ship. Come aboard. I don't have to give you permission.
Kaimanda's going to take out his pipe.
Okay.
And puff on it, and be like, "Yes. How are you doing, old sport?"
And then so as you puffing a cube of smoke appears in the air and takes the shape of a dragon, and then it flies off into the air and kind of dissipates. That's a really cool trick, Kaimana. Is that something new that you learned?
Oh, that's something that I can do. But no, show me how the ship fared, sport.
We were worried about you too and wanted to come and check on you.
Oh,
We know you said you were okay, but still, it's better to see.
Yeah, we've been helping people, cleaning up and rebuilding things. Pestle and Mortar are really good at hammering nails, apparently, and so they've just been building houses left and right, or rebuilding houses left and right.
Kaimana is going to reach out and pat him on the as high up as he can reach, because he can't reach his shoulder.
Yeah.
And just be like, yes, well done. I'm proud of you, sport.
Thanks, Kaimana. And then he kind of gets up to you, Soris. Is Kaimana okay?
Yes. He is Kaimana.
He's acting weird.
Yes. He's Kaimana.
Oh, okay. Well, we were just kind of cooking up some dinner. We can put a couple more plates for you if you'd like.
Kaimana's going to puff on his pipe a little more and say, "That would be lovely, sport."
Okay. So he scrounges up two more bowls.
And I whisper to Beaker, it's I think it's because we're closer to his home.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. That would make anybody nervous, I think. So he kind of sets out a couple more bowls, and you see he pours out some rice, and then there's a steaming vegetable medley that goes on top with some beautifully caramelized mushrooms. And he's Pestle has been making really great use of their cooking skills, and has been cooking some really good dinners for all of us.
That's excellent.
Kaimana will nod approvingly. And just so Soris can hear, he's gonna lean over and be like, Is this how dads are supposed to behave? I feel like this is how dads are supposed to behave.
You're doing great.
Okay.
And
the pipe's a nice touch.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I already had kind of the mustache thing going.
It also helps separate your captain from your father persona.
Good.
Because there are times you have to be the captain.
Right.
And there are times you have to be the father. So I think you're good. You're great.
Is the physical affection too much? I don't want to cuddle them.
No, I think you're off to a good start.
Okay.
They offered us dinner.
Right.
All right. As you're having this conversation, the other rats all approach. And so Mortar, Pestle, Limbic, and Beaker are all there. And they are kind of gathered around and they're all eating. And it's just all centered around this on the deck, kind of in various different places and sitting around. So are you all staying in Nuevea for a little while longer, or are you off somewhere else soon?
We're heading off probably tomorrow.
Oh, we'll make sure that the ship is ready for you. Do you need us to go with you?
I think that would be good. Yes.
Okay.
Because we're going to have to go into this place called Alyria, and if we go there, someone has to stay and take care of the ship.
Okay.
And there may be some bad people coming, so probably it's best if, once you drop us off, you kind of go hang out in the clouds nearby in case we need you. But that way, nobody bad can try and take it.
Okay. We can make sure that it's Alembic. You're gonna make sure that everything's good, ready to go. And Alembic says, "Yeah. We're gonna make sure the ship is tip top shape for the sailing, and we'll make sure the gangplank is down for you.
Thank you.
Tie it off on the port stern."
I know you boys will all do your best.
Thanks, Kaimana.
He just puffs on his pipe and nods. Nods
Sagely.
sternly. Yeah. He's Mr. Cleavering this.
Oh no.
This shit.
How good is Pestil's cooking?
Pestle is a very good cook.
I compliment the chef on the meal.
Pestle says, "Thank you. I mean, I loved baking and I liked making cookies. And I just got to provide for these boys. So I don't know why Pestle now is suddenly from the Midwest, but we're going to go with that. I got to provide for these boys now, don't I?
Don't steal my next character, please.
Don't you know?
Don't you know? And she just says,
I'm being triggered right now. I'm being triggered right now. Stop.
I will stop. Okay. And so, she says, and baking and cooking are very different, because with baking, you have to be just so precise with all of your measurements. But with cooking, you can just throw whatever you want to. And sometimes it turns out really good.
Yes.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Yes.
But this one's good, I think.
Yes.
I wish I could write down the recipe, but I don't know how to write.
Well, we can teach you. And also, you can make... Writing is basically symbols. So, if you make symbols that you recognize and can remember, it doesn't necessarily have to match the writing that everyone else uses. It would be good for you to learn that. But if you, are putting 5 sugars in something and you draw 4 little piles of sugar, and you know what they are, then that works.
Oh, so there's 3 things of tablespoons. I think they're called tablespoons of chili powder. So it could be like fire plants.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So that way you can remember, and that way when you do learn how to write the same way other people do, you can then convert them. But in the meantime, you don't have to worry about forgetting.
That's a good idea, Soros. Thank you. And the rats de Kaimana discover hieroglyphics.
Right, Kaimana's people use petroglyphs.
Yeah,
that's their written language. So
well, and one of the ways I figure Soros learned to write is he took some notes for something using similar methodology, and then the monks came behind and wrote the words. What did you put here?
Mm-hmm.
And then they wrote the actual words, and he learned to read.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Just like this is a symbol for this, these collection of little squiggles mean the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
All right. As you're eating, Soros, the delicious food, the conversation, the feeling of family and warmth around you, you're holding the bowl in your hands, and suddenly it lights up. and you felt
Pestle?
the energy leave you.
Is it supposed to do this?
Beaker is the one who speaks. No, Saurus. I think you did that.
Huh.
And the bowl, Kaimana, you're noticing there's this beacon of light here as the sun is setting, held in Saurus's hands.
Does anybody know what just happened?
Beaker touches his bowl, and his bowl lights up.
I'm gonna touch my bowl.
It doesn't. You did this, Saurus. I didn't know you could do that. Wait, didn't you tell me that you could do that?
I didn't know I could do that either. I still don't know that I can do that. What was that?
You cast the spell. It makes things light up.
How did I do that if I don't know how to do that?
I don't know. Here, try this. And he like tosses a salt shaker to you. I don't know how to describe it. So there's like this thing of warmth inside of your body, and you got to think about happy times and happy places. And then you just kind of say, I want the salt shaker to be happy too.
Is this how magic works, Kaimana?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I give it a shot.
Okay. So you focus for a moment, and you feel that warmth in your body, and you feel it kind of like travel down your hand and hit the salt shaker, and the salt shaker beams into light. The bowl dims and goes back to normal.
Okay. Good to know.
Why can
I'm not
you do
sure
that,
why this is
Saurus?
happening.
Oh, okay.
This is new to me.
Well, you keep you're keeping really surprising, Saurus.
And if I want to turn it off?
You just stop thinking about it?
I stop thinking about it.
The salt shaker goes dim.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get hit over the head and you forget that you were talking about it, and then like sometimes like Mortar will accidentally like drop something on you while you're doing it, and then it just goes dark. Not you, but the spell.
Well, I suppose that would depend on how heavy the thing he drops on you is.
Yeah,
Because you might go dark too.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, Kaimana doesn't laugh, but oh god.
All right. All right, anything else?
We're here for you, Atwood.
Oh my god, that was too good.
Anything else you all want to do with the rats?
Just make sure they're okay and see how they're doing, and make sure they're not super traumatized by what happened.
Yeah, Kaimana's gonna go off and like one-on-one do his version of imparting fatherly wisdom to all of them.
They all come away from it confused.
Yeah.
but pleased to have a moment with Kaimana. You get the sense, Saurus, that they are, they're not scared about what happened, but that each of them has found a renewed sense of purpose in seeing something terrible occur and knowing that they have some strength to set parts of it right.
That's good.
We have good leaders, fathers, figures who set us on the right paths.
Thank you. And Kaimana is trying his hardest.
But yeah, he's doing a good job.
I think so too.
All right. So now do Saurus and Kaimana spend the evening with the rats, or do you eventually head back to the palace?
Kaimana is going to head back to the palace.
Yeah, I think I will too.
Okay, so you have your dinner, your one-on-one conversations, and then they say that they're going to make sure that the ship is ready for you before they bed down for the evening, and then you head back to the palace, to the guest chambers.
We left a note that says, "Out drinking. Bye." Mar and Jerry Hart.
All right.
We will be back? Question mark.
Abel and Jaren, with Ominira, you head to a lab. And what are you working on?
Yes, not to belabor the point. I just want to finalize some of the work that Jiren and Alyria were doing on my father's prosthetics. So yeah, I'm going to use the Everspark that's housed on the end of my quarterstaff to make like the different tools and stuff that I need.
Okay.
To finalize the prosthetics before we leave.
Good. Go ahead and make an intelligence check and add your proficiency bonus to it.
I can't hear.
Intelligence check and add your proficiency bonus.
Okay, sorry.
Intelligence check and add your proficiency bonus.
Sure thing. I'm going to do this in D&D.
You have dice.
No.
I've literally not rolled well this entire time, this whole session, on my dice.
Anytime Jury has like a day of trauma, the whole next day the dice are like, we know.
They've been so mean to me.
We
lately.
know.
Ay, caramba. I rolled a 7,
Okay.
which would be an 11 plus proficiency.
Okay, 11 plus proficiency. So you and Jaren are kind of working at this, and you're doing the work of things. And even though you're not entirely focused, there's so many things that are distracting you from the work that you're doing, and pouring yourself into this work is something that you can do for all of the millions of things that you are unable to do. You're distracted and all over the place, but Jaren immediately comments like, the work that you're doing is going much faster than normal. Has this changed? And he kind of stops your work and pulls the Everspark towards him. It looks different, doesn't it?
I guess it does. Now that you say that, where are the stats for the Everspark sit?
And so this is the first time Abel's really looked at it since the battle in the Hearthstone. But defeating a threat to your people and defending your people from something outside, the Everspark has awakened.
Yo, let's go.
Awesome. Awakened Everspark. Let me write that down.
All right.
Every time you talk about the Everspark, I think of Transformers.
The Allspark. All right. So after you and Jared work, you will be unable to complete because of the 11, you'll be unable to complete it today, but you can get a lot of the work done unless you want to work through the night and take on exhaustion.
Yeah, I'll just work through the night.
Okay, so you and Jaren,
Yeah.
you and Jaren spend the evening working through, and you are able to complete the prosthetic arm for your father. Are unable to complete both the prosthetic arm and the eye, because it'd be about 3 days worth of work, but you are able now to complete that in 1 day.
Look, let me just say, Jaren is the MVP. He always be putting in the work.
So you and Jaren working in the hot laboratory through the night as it goes.
with Ominira.
With Ominira Ominira just standing awkwardly in the corner, like observing everything you're doing, but not super able to contribute unless you ask her specific questions, and then she can access the data to help give you the support that you need. All right.
Tech support.
She's tech support. All right. And then Marlo and Jordan partying with Enzo. And as you are drinking for a while, Alora and Rinley eventually show up. And Alyria immediately just hands an entire bottle of alcohol to her brother.
Yeah. I'm playing violin at this point.
Yeah, go ahead and make a performance check.
Do I have to make it a disadvantage because we're drinking?
I don't feel like you would be shit-faced yet.
Sure.
Also, I would think that jury would
so
actually
that-
get advantage
That's
when
true.
they were shit-faced.
Actually, that is a
Because
fair
they hold their
that's a fair argument. You can roll performance with advantage.
Well, that's good.
any inhibitions or self-consciousness just is gone at that point, and it just comes out.
I rolled badly and I got a 21. Bard.
So this beautiful melody that captures pure, like the emotion that you want it to capture, whether it's the true emotion that Jury's feeling now or something else.
I feel like it's like one of those songs that seems happy and then you're kind of like, is it though?
Underneath
These
it.
lyrics are weird.
A current of ennui underneath.
Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But you're drinking there with the prince and Enzel and Bolton. Bolton tries to sing along to a song that he doesn't know and fails miserably.
I mage hand him to stop.
He just feels it like hitting against his face, and he's just like, "I'm the wandering sailor."
Well, it's not a sailor song.
You kept saying something about sailing.
Just because there's a sea doesn't mean it's a sailor song.
What do you do on the sea, Jury?
You do lots of things on the sea. You think it's just sailors? It's ridiculous. There's people who do they fish, and then there's
How do they get to the fish if they're not sailing, Jury?
Just because you're on the ocean doesn't mean you're a sailor. You could just ride a boat for fun.
That doesn't make any fucking sense, Jury. If you're on a boat,
we're air sailors.
if you're on a boat, aren't you sailing on the boat? Marlo.
No, it's not fucking Marlo.
Why?
Come on, Mar, be on my side. I'm still violent.
Marlo.
What is this argument about?
If you're on a boat, aren't you sailing on the boat?
Does that make you a sailor, though? Just because you're sailing doesn't mean you're a sailor.
What?
As a sailing.
What the fuck is happening? No, I don't think
Does that
so.
make you a seaman?
It does.
It's fucking fine.
You're all against me.
Yeah, fuck you. And I'm just violenting beautifully through this.
I love when I can hear Jury from the other room.
All right. Anything in particular that you'd like to accomplish with your night of drinking, or is it just relaxation?
I do want to have a one-on-one conversation at one point with Alyria.
Okay. So at some point after kind of getting Renly situated, Alyria makes her way out to the balcony, and you can see that she's just kind of like playing around with like orbs of light, just kind of mindlessly lighting up the space. But there's a quiet moment where you can join her and find her there.
Hey.
Marlo, hi. Thank you for the wine. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. How are you?
She kind of looks in the room. Better. I was so afraid that Renly would be different around me, but have you ever had the feeling that other people see you so much clearly than you see yourself?
All the time.
Well, today was the first time I saw in someone else's eyes who I always thought that I was. And I haven't felt that way in a while. And he looked at me as his sister. And that made all the difference.
You are his sister.
Right, of course. I think you know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
That feeling of being different and separated. And, you know, when this is all in order, we're going to go back and fucking kick people out of a castle and reclaim a throne. And put the right man there, you know?
Absolutely. Has Abel talked to you about stuff.
She kind of leans. The orbs of light kind of like fly up above her. Specifically, no.
Has Abel... I don't think he has. I think you would know what I was talking about if he did, huh? Oh, this is unfortunate.
Once again, Marlo. No, I haven't been able to have conversation with Abel much in the last...
He's a busy man.
She kind of references out. There's no part of the city that's on the back portion of the palace where you are. It's just clouds far beneath you and the twinkling starlight above. But you understand the reference to like the city. Like, I feel like they've all had their hands rather full as of late.
Yeah. So we're gonna head out soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering if you could do me like a favor.
For you, anything.
Could you be friends with Vicus? Could you like reach out and really connect with him?
A natural run on whatever deception that Alyria would have tried to pull. So you see just a range of emotions flash across Alyria's face of like, what the fuck are you asking me to do? And then it's just, she kind of, any particular reason why Vicus needs friends?
He's going through a lot right now. You know, his dad and, I just think that maybe you guys can relate to each other a lot on some stuff. And in the past 48 hours, I have come to be, ridiculously invested in his well-being, and I really want to make sure that he's okay when I'm not here, because he doesn't really have anyone right now. And I know that's a weird thing to ask, because I know you guys were like betrothed and there was a whole weird thing, and I know he like maybe comes across as like distant and cold or whatever. I think it's actually that he's just maybe the most awkward individual I've ever met, and I know that's saying something coming from me, but I think maybe he's just a really sheltered kid.
I have been meaning to talk to him since whatever was called off, and thank God I don't have to marry him, but I will follow through on the intention and be his friend.
I mean, you guys don't have... I'm not trying to
thank God. Okay.
You're like a parent setting up a play date.
Lord,
like, don't do that.
Okay,
just,
well,
like,
I'll talk to him at the very least and see what comes.
I don't know, just so he knows if he wants to talk to someone, he can, because his mom's not really on the table for that right now.
She kind of looks at you, but doesn't press it.
Cool. Well, this has been great.
I'm going to drink more because of that idea. But
he's so sweet once you get to know. He's going to make you tea. He's going to. That's the only way he knows how to talk to people and connect. He's going to make tea.
So I thought that was just like an uncomfortable thing that he just did. He talks about tea a lot.
It's all... I think he's got a couple of like good talking points that he keeps in his back pocket for social, just like kind of small talk. And that's one of them. In the past 48 hours, I think I've witnessed all of them. So you can understand that there's not a huge well of what he's got.
Oh, poor Vicus.
Love him.
She says, well, I will set up a tea date then.
Great. Thank you. That means a lot to me.
I owe you more than can ever be expressed. And in this way, you're actually making me deal with something that I had been putting off and needed to deal with. So maybe I still owe you, even though this is a favor for you.
You don't owe me anything. It's not how anything works.
I don't know. I like feeling like there are people worthy of being owed, because it means they cared enough about you to take part in your life.
Come here. Just hug her.
The dancing lights kind of descend and like kind of fly around, and there's just a hug on the balcony. And with a night of delicious meals with...
You come back in and I'm like levitating Renly.
Why?
I told him I could levitate him.
And Renly's just like, I don't know. She said that it would be a good idea to fly.
Oh my god, how much did you let him drink?
Well, we flipped him upside down and made like a keg stand kind of situation. I've never seen a king do a keg stand.
It came out my nose. Though it was, and you can see there's just a red on the front of his thing.
I looked at Bolton.
I'm injured on the couch. How am I supposed to stop this?
We made Bolton do the keg
Look,
stand too, so.
It's the sailor thing. I don't even know. And Edzel's just like sitting in the back, just like watching it. Like, I wasn't gonna stop this. It was very good entertainment.
No, I knew you wouldn't stop it. I thought maybe he would, but
no. Bolton,
a bad influence.
yeah, he's. I don't think he's actually injured. I think he's making it all up. And Bolton's like, I died.
Get over it. Okay.
You were there.
You brought me back to life, Hansel.
Lots of people have died.
Yeah.
Special.
So as an evening of revel,
that's going on for a man downstairs.
I know. Bolton's just like, Jesus Christ. So an evening of hard work, an evening of revelry and relaxation, a feeling maybe for the one time in a while that Nuevea is now a place of safe harbor for everybody. But also with understanding that there are people in danger out there. You have choices to make about their safety in the coming day. And the ticket takers eventually making their way to sleep with Azalor on the horizon. We'll go ahead and pick up there next time.
I sleep here. I'm not going back to the room.
I do another hour or two of reading before bed.
Okay, so you get up to...
Depending on how soon we got back.
Yeah, so you could get in probably 2 more hours, and then that would put you still getting 8 hours of sleep by waking up at like 7 or so. Mm-hmm.
I would meditate with the stone some more.
Okay, so we'll pick up... Remind me, and we'll pick up with Kaimana and the stone tomorrow, and then Abel working through the night, so Abel will be going into this with exhaustion.
And probably me.
Well, we will do some constitution rolls for everybody when we do next time. Yep. But with Azalor
on the horizon.
Yes.
Yep. Don't cast while drunk, kids.
Renly's just spinning in the air.
Don't drink and spell.
Don't drink and spell.
Folks.
It's very important.
Yeah. All right. Turn out the lights. Don't drink and spell.
Don't drink and joust.
And don't send to your ex, okay? It's very... don't do anything.
Oh, yeah. And
Jury's out of spell slots, thankfully, so can't.
I could cast a higher level spell slot.
Oh, no.
Wisdom save? Well, we'll do that next time.
Source will do his daily message to Jane, and will say something to the effect of, Nuevian ship will be coming to take. If you and Minerva can get on it, trust me.
Minora, okay. Okay.
Those Northwick buns are not going down
she's
to
still
the enemy.
in Interview, probably, right?
I thought she made it back.
She probably, let's see, it's been been 2 weeks. She probably has made it back by this point. Oh, the message comes back. I trust you. Just the two of us. Anyone else need to come as well? And that's kind of where the message ends. So you can message tomorrow with them.
I was thinking about the B team, but it also may be that B team may want to stay, but I'll see if I can get Jury to message them.
We'll talk
send
about
to
it. We'll
them.
talk about it. We probably have a lot of opinions
We
on
do.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But we'll pick up with the plans and the coming morning of the day you all leave for Azalor next time.
Yay
Okay.
to Azalor.
Yay to Azalor. This will be Jury's town.
This is going to be my town.